Yeah. All right, all right, all right. Let's get everybody in here, shall we? And then we'll warm up the crowd like we're known to do as world-class performers. We'll warm up the crowd and then we'll have our discussion about brand deals and all those things coming up here very shortly. Let's turn off the timer. Let's turn on the camera. What's happening, party people? How is everybody doing this fair afternoon? Got an impromptu, is that a word I'm allowed to use? Stream here for you wonderful human beings. Now, what I need to figure out is, do I want to get to my old helicopter or can I find a secondary? I need to find a secondary transportation so we can get where we're trying to go in this game. And so we'll play the game a bit. We'll chit-chat a little bit. We'll do maybe a little icebreaker, say hello to everybody, and then we'll get right into today's topic because I am still planning also to do tonight's late night stream as scheduled, 9 p.m. Or somewhere thereabouts, depending on when my children allow me to finish tucking them in. But yeah, well, hopefully a great conversation for y'all. It's definitely one I'm excited to give. Hey, is that a football field? Did they put a football field in this game and I missed it? Oh, dude, we gotta come back to the football field. You should get like a gang of people in this game and just play football. Even though this football field is clearly not to scale. Not even close. But hey, it's still something. It's not nothing. Awesome. We'll be back. Right now I'm trying to find a helicopter. But yeah, we'll bring you up to speed about why as a brand, if that's what you want to call this, that gets a lot of brand offers, believe it or not. We may seem like a quaint operation, but we do get hit up quite a bit from businesses that want us to help them do business. And we say no to almost every one of them. Almost every one. In fact, a lot of the ones we've said yes to, I am now either a partner in that company or, and that's, by the way, not one of the prerequisites to get on the show as a brand. Giving us stake in your company is not one of the prerequisites. It's just something that does happen from time to time. We have another brand where we're kind of negotiating that loosely because they're still kind of in startup mode, trying to figure out where they're going to be when they grow up. So they don't want to start bringing people into partnerships before they figure some of that out. But yeah, but we'll talk you through. There is one specific thing that 99% of brands get wrong. And so my thought process here is the type of audience we have are both on the consumer side, right, as influencers and artists, right, but they're also producers. But then we also have people on the entrepreneurial side who own businesses who tune into the show. So it's what I'll be helping you guys with today is a better strategy to deal with influencers. If you're the business owner, this will kind of help you think about how to do your brand deals with influencers or brands that you want to work with. Right? And how could you structure what you're doing better, not just for the creator you're trying to work with, but for the end consumer, which is our focus is always on the end consumer when we get these brand deals, not on helping your business. I care way more about my audience that tune in every day to the tune of several hundred people come to see me yell at video games. I value their trust more than I value millions of dollars coming out of your company. Right? So we're going to take care of them first, always. That's one of the first major things every company gets wrong is they make it all about them. And they think just because they're going to give you a free product, like now I'm supposed to, oh my God, you're going to give me a free skateboard that took you 88 cents to make that you sell for $200, you pieces of shit, the fuck out of my face. Like that's my attitude towards people that do shitty business. And it's like, Brian, why would you burn that bridge? Why wouldn't you? Cause I don't burn bridges, motherfucker. I keep people like that running for the goddamn bridges. Right? I don't even want you in my sphere of influence of life if that's the type of business you are. Right? Is you're going to make a crap product just to try to sell 1 million of them to people so you can get rich off of people's dopamine addictions, which is a large percentage of the companies that are out here doing bullshit business? No. Like, I hope the businesses that do business like that are watching this and like, oh, damn, don't ever send him one of those emails that he hates every time he gets an email from one of those companies. I secretly hope all of you die in front of your families. Is he allowed to say that? Yes, my show. Fuck you. I'm not sponsored by Nabisco. I don't have to toe some stupid-ass line to act like I'm a better person than I am so that you'll buy fucking snack cakes. Fuck out of here. Like, the world that's coming will not put up with that shit. And I am not going to any longer, well, I never did in the first place. I'm not going to toe the line that these fake-ass companies toe trying to get y'all to buy shit by pretending they're better people than they are. And let me help you. We're probably not as good as you think we are. Let's just start there. Right? But anyway, all my joking and sarcasm aside, I will get into some real information you can use to, if you're the business, how can you reach out to businesses better? And create an incentive that, yes, absolutely helps you make your profit goals. That's a part of it. We're going to talk about that. But helps the creator as well as, most importantly, helps the end consumer, which is why your business should exist in the first place, is to take care of the end consumer. Period. Not to help your grandkids get to college. Right? So we'll talk about that. And then if you're on the influencer side, if you're the creator, the artist, it'll help you, one, not take bad brand deals that you shouldn't do just because you like the taste of money, because you may not have a lot when you're first getting started as an artist. But believe me, if you keep going as an artist, money will be one of the last things you're playing the game for, because you won't have to. You'll have streams of revenue and things set up, especially if you're in the camps of the people that I work with. We help people build that. And so you don't have to do it for the money. You can do it for whatever your, greater purpose is. And I don't want to tell you what that should be. That's for you to decide. But that's what we'll get into today. And I'll keep running towards the objective to shoot people, which is a favorite thing of ours to do. Terry's in the house. Pocket's in the house. And Capadonna's in the house. A lot of rain here in Memphis, says Cap. Yeah, we're getting rain up here in the DC area too, bro. Oh, somebody saw us. Not anymore. I got him. Eyes on, eyes on, eyes on, eyes on. Wait, why are you not aiming and shooting? I wasn't expecting to get into this fight. I thought we were running up on something else. Whoops. This is a completely boloed this. Completely. Hey, buddy. All in there. Right in the balls. How you like that? Is that good for you? Good ball shooting? Love ball shooting. It's the best kind of shooting. And the headshot. Let's get this jet up out of here, shan't we? Oh, it's a drone. It's a UAV, baby. Terry says, the world that's coming, what do you mean by that? It's very simple. The world that it's the world we're in, not the world that's coming. What the hell did I just do? Oh, crap. Did I just make people descend upon this location? Shiza. I did not mean to do that because I don't have my stuff in place to defend this location. Crap. This could get ugly quick. Alright, run it, gang. This could get ugly fast. Spool it up, baby. Yeah, spool that up. Easy, easy. Why would you throw a grenade in that situation? You crazy person. Oh, this team sucks. I need a better one. Please. Can I get the team from Wildlands back? Or is that part of the story? Like, your team from Wildlands is dead and your new team sucks? Is that what I'm supposed to be overcoming? Why would you throw a grenade at the objective that we're supposed to be protecting? Wouldn't know in a million years. Hey, Gunner. There you go. Good shooting. Good shooting. Well, we failed the mission. We might as well keep running. I don't even know why we stayed here. Hopefully that doctor finds his way home. Ba-da-ba. So, Terry, the world that we're in is simply this. We're all hyper-connected. We no longer live in a world where you can bullshit people on TV and them not figure out that, hey, that most of what's on television is people lying to you about shit to get you to buy shit. Right? And now we live in a world where authenticity matters. So this, let me pretend like all of the executives at Nike are these wholesome, puritanic people that never own slaves and only believe in the greatest, like, companies try to pitch themselves as these bastions of altruism when we know they're not. So this towing this bullshit line that current media toes of present everything is nice and pretty and it's over. Like, just go look at YouTube, man. And YouTube has tried to acquiesce to become more like the mainstream because you make more money acquiescing to people who are being conditioned into social norms, right? But this idea of a world where a super celebrity isn't in some way, shape, or form going to interact with somebody as a part of what they do as a brand, it's ridiculous. So trying to continue painting these avatars of companies, businesses, and people that aren't real, it's just silly. Like, we all have the internet now and can see that the CEO of Nabisco, you know, shoots elephants in the ass or whatever the thing is he does. Like, it continuing to try to get people to pretend that they're buying from this great place. It's silly. We know better. And I get it. The human brain, the human animal loves that lie. It loves believing that we're doing the right thing. But get out of here. It's silly. You know, like censoring yourself on television because these words, what are the words doing? Vibrations coming out of your mouth are hurting. The children are going to say a word at school. Then what happens? Did the school burn down? No. 14 hypersensitive emotional people got offended for 8 seconds, and then you went back to living your life. And so this world where we keep acquiescing to people who won't manage their own emotions and require the rest of the world to do it, that's going to be over. Because we're all connected now. We can see your bullshit and Karen. That's what I mean. It's not really the world that's coming, it's the world we're in, you know? Like, mystique is going away. Just be real with people, bro. Sometimes I'm sure Kevin Hart is an asshole. Like, and he's allowed to be. He's a fucking human being. You know what I mean? No, basically, the bottom line to what I'm saying, Terry, is I'm kind of really thinking what I said out loud. It's the bottom line is we're getting into a world where being authentic matters more and more. Because the person that puts on the white lab coat to tell everybody that you need to eat more carrots, like humans have been coddled to be stupid for a long time, but now we all have the internet and people are getting access to information and shit. So it's like, wait a minute, that's not how the real world actually works. People are figuring it out. So the bottom line is you can't keep lying to people the way that these organizations have been and think people aren't going to figure it out. Yeah, no, your Wildlands team is definitely all but one of them are dead. That's definitely the story. What I'm asking is the narrative. Now you got this other team and they stink, and like you're supposed to be frustrated on missions because they miss shots and throw grenades at the very thing we're supposed to be protecting. Like that's what I'm asking. Is part of the narrative this team I'm on now is like a bunch of rookies who are getting their first shot? Because I think I'll just do this alone if I got to keep having people throwing grenades and shit. Like that should have killed all of us when they did that. It's hilarious that we didn't even get hurt. Squally says, why do you turn down most brand deals? Not game brand deals, Squally. Brand deals. Most of the brand deals I get have nothing to do with video games, believe it or not. No, I do get brand deals from video game companies, too. The most recent of which we were working to deal with GameStop that I think is probably... Well, actually, I think the deadline's passed anyway. We declined it, you know, barring, you know, further information confirming, you know, what we thought about the deal might have been wrong. But, yeah, a lot of our deals are not from game companies at all. But, yes, we will get into the discussion. I'm waiting for the rest of the audience to get here, so we're just kind of shooting the breeze and chit-chatting. But we will get into the talk. I've actually got some stuff I'll show you on screen when we get into it. Let's see what we got here. Timothy Klippel. Okay, I don't understand that. I can't read that word they wrote. I think the text is too small. He says, oh, wait, you had to protect the aircraft? Well, we were supposed to. We failed. Cap says, I do have a question. Is the reason these companies are manipulative the reason our generations are more in a decline? Well, you would have to define decline, right? Because we're also inclining in a lot of ways, right? Like, the world is getting better in some ways. It's not all negative. We just have a tendency to focus on the things that are negative because advertisers know we get more acquisitive when we're scared. But you know, the human animal tends to focus more on the negative because those are the things we associate with survival. And how do you miss point blank? How do you miss point blank? Really? Y'all let the drone get behind me, then start shooting before you return fire because I didn't come here on the stupid wagon wheel and hit that button. Like, please give me some teammates that know how to fight. Please. Get me out here dying. One down. I see him too. Trying to put a bullet through the terrain and into him. Because some of the terrain is shoot-throughable. Enemy reinforcements just showed up. Kick ass. Let's push up. Got him. One down. Ooh. Thank you, lady. I love her. Yes. Now that's my... Now, she's the one exception to the rule. Can I keep her and get rid of the other two guys? She's awesome. The other two teammates are the whack ones. Rock, rock. I got the gunner. Ooh, you got the gunner. Good shooting, ho. Damn. Now my team's kicking ass. I guess you guys heard that little conversation I was having with the audience, and you got your act together. Proud of you. All right, artillery coming in. I got it. I got it. Hey, you got it. What? Look at this team kicking ass. I ain't got to do nothing. Oh, man. This is the best the team's done. It's almost like they heard me talking. Is this game listening? I still think these video game companies are owned by other giant corporations, and all these open world shooters are just simulations for the game they're all going to start, and everybody needs to be trained to kill each other. These games are just training, guys. New world. And let me help you. A lot of the shit you learned in these games is going to get you killed if somebody actually does kick off a real life battle royale. So, like what I'm doing right here is very dumb, but it's a video game, and I don't care.
Boom. Clean hit, boss.
And he was coming to hurt one of our friends. I wasn't going to let that happen. Not on my watch. All right, are these the reinforcements? And they're out on the perimeter because we don't really need to worry about them until we egress. But if they're going to push into the perimeter, we need to lock it down. So I'll do that.
Let's go.
Now what, ho? Didn't even have to waste any ammunition on that ass. Oh, the other one's pushing in. Can y'all handle biz? Can y'all handle biz? He got past me. Handle biz, baby. Oh, I know what time it is, ho. All in your balls. That's where I shoot them. If you shoot someone in the balls, they're not shooting back. All right. I think we're clear. Let's push in. We'll finish this mission, and then we'll get into the talk about brand deals. How about that? Sound like a plan, Stan? Let's push in.
We're safer now.
Rocket gunner neutralized.
Rocket gunner? There was a rocket gunner? Where? I'm glad you found the rocket gunner, lady. I didn't even see one. Let's see. Ryan says, if there weren't enough apes, Bananas Inc. wouldn't make $1 billion. Well, ta-da! Ryan dropping truth on that ass. Oh, good. Suba says, we should be so lucky. Squads wasn't added for months. I know. That's why I didn't play the game until now. I played it by myself and was like, this game sucks. They never planned to add them and only did because they got called. Of course, freaking shitty ass Ubisoft. Which I hate to say that about holistically an organization. Really, who I'm calling out are the cowardly leaders that are so tied to their profit margins that they can't make a decision that causes a short-term decrease in profit to make customers abundantly more happy. You know what entrepreneur does that regularly? And I'm not singing this guy's praises like he's Jesus Christ, but you know one who actually does that? I do. You shop with him a lot. Right? But then you have to deal with the correlation of the happier your customers are, usually the less happy your employees are. Because to make happy customers, you have to understand we live in America where customers have been told since the beginning of time that they're always right. So they come from a place of entitlement, and that businesses, even though businesses are really just groups of people, should be bending over backwards to give these people things that are probably worth way more than the price they're being charged because the company actually wants to sell it to a person who will be willing to buy it, etc., etc. Right, so you run into that challenge with, okay, how do you deal with wanting to please your customer, obviously, but not doing it at the detriment of your organization and your people, right? But, you know, companies have to beat the hell out of their people to bend over backwards to customers because, you know, businesses have been competing on things like price, but more importantly, they compete on service. Like, we'll treat you better than all these other businesses will. Well, somebody's got to do that treatment, and it takes money to pay people to want to do that treatment. All right, second floor. Wait, do we need to do anything else in here? Yeah, all right. Yeah. Release these people from this horrible place. So yeah, of course Ubisoft didn't actually fix it. They thought they could just sling dope to the apes and the apes wouldn't care. And I'm not calling you guys apes. I'm saying that's what these companies think about us. Let's go rescue our guy here. What up, homie? And then we'll get into today's discussion.
You, know Paula Madeira? The drone engineer.
What are you saying?
She makes drones. Like the ones flying all over the island killing folks.
Hey, I don't care what you heard. There's no way she'd work for Sentinel. She's one of us. She's brave as hell, and she's an outcast.
So why'd she make drones in the first place?
Who the hell are you, man?
Relax. I'm a friend. I was on one of the helicopters that crashed.
Let's get to a safe house. We can talk there.
Show you right. Show you right. All right, we're going to get him to...
Nomad. What's yours?
Degoro Ito.
The hell are you doing in the most technologically advanced place on Earth if you don't like technology?
I'm not a Luddite, man. I'm just opposed to transhumanism.
When a person becomes more than human, right?
Other than human. Our motto, or one of them anyway, is remember the Neanderthals.
Hey, I'm part Neanderthal. Yeah, remember us, ho.
But modern humans drove the Neanderthals.
We still have value.
Or at least they contributed to it.
Yeah, we contributed, ho. Shit.
Other humans making me extinct.
That's right. Give it up for the Neanderthals, y'all. That's how we do it. Shit. One of the coldest Neanderthals that's ever lived. And video game designers always have to build their levels like labyrinths so that you can't ever get out of them like a casino, so that the game goes on for 12 more minutes and they can count that in their gameplay padding stats horse crap world of foolishness and tomfoolery. And how far out are we going? 3.6 kilometers? There's got to be a helicopter close by. Dang, if I'm running that far. That's right, we passed a helicopter on the way in, didn't we? We sure did. This looks like a scene from Altered Carbon. Let's drive. All right, we're going to get up in the chopper, take a short break. I'll be back, and then we'll get into today's discussion. Back in a few. Yeah, Petros brought up, I saw in the comments there as I was getting back into my chair, that he liked that they added the old Sam Fisher to Ghost Recon Wildlands. I agree with that. I never liked, what's the game that Fisher comes from? Operation Donkey Style. What's it called? Hell, what is the game that Sam Fisher comes from? It's a Metal Gear clone that's not as good as Metal Gear, but that's not saying much. Anyway, the game Sam Fisher comes from. The mission in Wildlands, however, the mission in Wildlands, I actually loved quite a bit with Sam Fisher in it. I thought that it was the hardest mission. I remember it well because it's the hardest mission to do for the achievements or the trophies. I think I played it on PlayStation the first time. You have to infiltrate the base without ever being seen. Like, you basically have to do a stealth mission, which I hate the way video games usually handle stealth. But in this scenario, in this game, you actually can be quite stealthy in ways that are not annoying like Metal Gear does it. This game does. Like, if I imagine when Kojima dreamed of Metal Gear Solid, he had this in mind, not what he made. Like, this is a better Metal Gear, gameplay-wise, than Metal Gear is. However, story-wise, you just can't touch Kojima. Like, I would play his clumsily controlling games just to be in one of his stories, because he's one of the few people on Earth that tell stories that I like to hear. But yeah, I appreciated Fisher, and getting the old voice actor Ironsides to do the voice was dope. And Michael Ironsides is a beast. He says, when you say shoot him in the balls, all I can think of is that scene from RoboCop. It's a good scene. It's a good scene, man. I like it. All right, let me make sure. Okay, you guys are not listening to that helicopter in your ears the way I am. That's good. I want to make sure I don't have annoying, distracting sounds while I'm trying to read all of your comments. And then, and any questions you guys have, totally welcome. They can be related to the topic I have today or not. We're going to be talking about why me and my team, my crew, our brand, whatever you want to call it, why we turn down most of the brand deals that we are offered. And we're offered more than I ever thought I would be for what I do. I was actually kind of surprised, like, wow, I'm getting these, like Segway wants to sponsor us, and oh, okay, GameStop, okay, all right, cool. I'm a little non sequitur for what I do, so I was surprised some of the bigger brands came after us to want to work with us. But hopefully the purpose of today's talk is really just to show for the business owners that follow me some of the conversations I have with business owners in the real world, because, you know, based on what I've done in my life, where I went from basically being a combat operations manager. I mean, I've been working since I was 12, so if you want to go all the way back to my working as a file clerk to working in retail, if you want to go through that journey, you can. But really, my core experience comes from having to lead large teams to do really, really, really hard things. I.e. combat operations. So being a leader who can effectively influence people to do shit that'll probably get them killed, that's a skill, right? And then being able to take people through combat operations and get everybody through it, thankfully, and God willing, without anybody getting seriously hurt or killed, right? And then transitioning from there to basically running operations for a billionaire's, or part of a billionaire's entire portfolio and business. I ran one of his companies, basically, is the way to look at that. And then I got to be so I served in running his company. I also served as an advisor to that billionaire. So because the business that he was running was in DC, we had to deal with politicians, for example. So marketing goes beyond just this idea of being on social media trying to sell a product. Marketing is really about building relationships with the people with whom you are trying to do business. Right, so like I had to, in fact, one of my favorite memories of working with the billionaire was we had to do a congressional testimony over some things that had happened at our business that taxpayers weren't too happy about. And they misunderstood how it happened and how it went down. And there were a lot of kind of self-interested, opportunistic people who took advantage of the 15 minutes of fame. But the bottom line was some things happened and we tried to fix it. But the billionaire came in and he was actually there for the hearing. Nobody knew who he was. And I told him, listen, like basically I was preparing him for a combat operation in our offices, our beautiful offices overlooking the view and everything. I was just like, listen, boss. And so he comes to me, he's like, all right, school me through what we're going to do. I was like, well, I'm the one talking. So no one's going to know you're there. Nobody's going to know who you are, period. Don't talk. Don't say anything to anybody. Don't introduce yourself. Just be a dude in the audience. Because I can't protect you. Like, I can be your COO, which includes running your security teams, but I cannot protect you from the onslaught of media and other people that are going to attack you if they know you're in the room. And then he's trying to walk me through. He's like, okay, what's the playbook for how we go get this ass beating? I was like, we take the ass beating. Like, there is no other playbook. We're going to go get our asses chewed, and then we're going to come home with our tail between our legs. He's like, but what about, can't we bring up, and he started bringing up things like terrorism. I said, no, we're dealing with, like, and I won't get into the politics of it, but because, you know, people who assign themselves to groups will get mad because they think I'm talking about their group when I really don't give a shit about your group. I don't hate you. I just don't care that you exist. But anyway, the political implications, advising him in that role. So I tell you that story to say, like, people will come to me and say, hey, how do I solve this business problem? Because when you've had the experiences that I've had, none of you that I've talked to have ever brought me a business problem where I was like, oh, I've never heard of that. There's nothing you're going to throw at me that's a life or a business problem that I probably haven't seen, or some version of it. So people will, like, one of the things I see on the business owner side is they don't know how to interact with influencers, and they don't know how to get, first of all, the right influencers to work with them, and that's important. And I'll talk a little bit about where you start with that. But they also, once they find the influencers they want to work with, it's like, okay, then how do we pay them? How do we compensate them? You know, some businesses I've helped have more than enough money so they can throw money at influencers, and that very quickly solves the early parts of the challenge, which is it's very easy to start a relationship when you show up with money. But then you still have to manage the relationship of, okay, what are we trying? What's the end game of us working with this influencer? What is the benefit to the consumer? That's often not a part of the damn conversation, because marketers are just thinking about their job, which is to make their company money, but they don't understand that their job is to make customers fulfilled and satisfied and taken care of. Notice I didn't say happy. You must go beyond happy if you want to work with us. All right? And so they don't know how. It's like, okay, once they get past the compensation piece, then it's, well, what do we tell them to say? Do we make them do commercials? Like a lot of big businesses, if you ever get a brand deal from them, they're going to want you to just do a quick commercial because it's a numbers game for them, right? It's, can I get 9 million eyeballs on this thing, because our quantitative analysis expert already knows if 9 billion eyeballs see it, we get this many pre-orders at GameStop. Offer Bryant this many billions of dollars to talk for 30 seconds. And we don't do that. Like just a one-off ad hoc commercial for a company that's just out of the blue, a piece of content on our platform. We don't do that. Right? And I would advise most people not to do that, because unless you're just a brand where your audience will accept you taking a minute to talk about Coca-Cola, where you're obviously just trying to sell them Coca-Cola. You know, I've built an audience where we would, like, I've told brand deal people, like, dude, the way you want me to do this, my audience is going to be offended when I make this video. Because I have cultivated an audience of people that hate commercials, they hate being sold to, and they hate bullshit. So if your product is any one of those three things, you probably don't want to hire us. But the flip side of it is, you know, like, who are you choosing as your influencer? Like, if you just want to sell, for example, if you wanted to sell 9 million copies of Madden, you probably wouldn't come to my show, right? But if you wanted to know, like, who asks me for video game advice when they're going to purchase their games, it's not the people who are playing Madden. It's millionaires and business owners. Like, hey, B, what are you playing? Like, those are the people that I'm influencing, right? Or people like me who are in the game doing entrepreneurial stuff, or, you know, artists, something in the vein of being a creative type, right? Entrepreneurialism is just another form of creativity. So how do you build those relationships, and how do you do it the right way? And then at the end of the day, how do you do a brand deal? Because if you're the business doing the brand deal, yeah, I appreciate that we're trying to take care of customers and do all these things, but it still needs to be profitable on the back end in some way. And sometimes that profit's not money, right? Like, I've advised companies where they've done a brand deal, or they've taken on work where they lost money on the work, but the brand equity it bought them for them, like, basically they paid money to work on a project, but the brand equity and the exposure it gave them was worth 100 times more than the money they lost on the deal. Right? So what I see a lot of in the world of buying influencers is companies that have no idea what they're doing. It's very clear to me in most of the emails I get, obviously not all, that this is not a very big company. They hired their nephew or their niece to be the administrative assistant for the office, and now they told them, go find us a bunch of influencers that'll help us sell our bullshit product. And then that person is sending emails to me that start a little something like this. Hi, Bryant. I love your content. No, you don't. Stop talking. I already know you're full of shit. Right? So you've already lost my interest when you start bullshitting in the email. Already lost my interest. We love your content, do you? Now, I don't automatically assume bullshit, but I've been doing this a long time, so they very quickly show me that they're full of shit when they start asking me to help them promote their product, which you can't imagine how many products I've been asked to promote that go against, like I would actively, and I will never try to knock another person's hustle. At least not on my show. Maybe in my inner circle, I'll be like, never shop with these people. They're horrible. Like, I get asked all the time about other businesses. B, what do you and I won't say shit. Because it's like, hey, I don't know about their inner workings. I just know my deal with them, my 8 minutes I spent with them, they could have fallen into the lake of fire with Satan, and I would have been okay with it. But I won't talk about that publicly because it's like, I'm not going to knock their hustle. Because I'm not in their inner workings. I don't know that my feelings and my experience is the truth, etc., etc. But anyway, going back to knowing how to approach the influencer and then knowing how to build a relationship and then building the deal out so that it is mutually beneficial to you, the person selling things, the creator who's the middle person, and eventually or inevitably and most importantly, the end user who's eventually going to buy the product. Right? And most of the brand deals that get sent my way have none of that thought put into it. It's just, hey, Bryant, we love your content. Will you please help us sell these watches that we just had fabricated in some frickin' sweatshop in Swaziland, Africa, and we're just trying to sell volume so we can scale this bullshit company because a billionaire is going to buy it from us and then just sell what? Like, it's so many of the deals are that. And it's like, how much do we have to pay you to sell? Like, I had one person try to sell a brand on me 2 times. Now, one of the people wasn't bullshitting me. They just hadn't done their homework. Like, if they had really done their homework, they would have known, oh, yeah, Bryant's brand, probably not that. Right? But if you're a CEO of a company who's the only person working there and you're in startup mode, well, you're also the marketer. So you're doing the best you can with limited knowledge. And so hopefully me talking about all these things will help you guys out. You can learn from the mistakes that I make and other people make. Right? But then I get a brand where it's like, not only did you not do your homework, you're asking me to sell something to people that I wish didn't exist on the planet. Like, how do you love my content when I talk badly about the shit you do? Like, I get those types of deals at times. Like, really? I was the guy, huh? My email was just on a list somewhere, wasn't it? Great. Thanks for thinking so much of me as to send me this canned email you sent to 7,000 other people. Like, and when I get those, we're not doing business. Like, if you haven't taken the time to do your homework about our company and what we do and what we stand for, which is building up warrior leaders all over the world so people can take charge of their own lives and not be controlled by this horseshit system of cowardice that's been built to control humans for the last 10 billion years, then we ain't working together. Right? But that's me. You got to figure out, what are you trying to sell to whom, and who are the influencers you want to work with. The only reason I'm telling you the story about me is because I'm kind of unique. I'd certainly take way less brand deals than probably the average person doing YouTube stuff would do. But the whole point of me saying all of that is you've got to get intimate. You've got to get intimate with the influencers you want to work with. So let's pull up something real quick I want to show you guys here on screen. This is one of my favorite speakers on business. I've heard him related to as the Einstein of business. This is Peter Drucker, and this is taken from several of his books. You can get a summary of all of it out of a book. I was hoping to have it on camera here for you guys today, but I literally cannot find my copy of it. It's somewhere in the house. I did a TikTok video with it probably 2 years ago, so it's probably on another shelf, another library I have stashed in the house. But the whole point here is Peter Drucker makes a great point about what marketing is actually designed to do. And that's what I wanted to start to kind of jump into the second phase of today's discussion. And this is all ad hoc. This is not a prepared seminar or lesson. This is something that was on my mind that I wanted to share with you guys. So it will be quite a bit less structured, this talk. than if I was like on a stage being paid to do this. I'd have some notes and other things prepared. But I really just wanted to make it a discussion. I also want to take comments from you all and not get too far ahead of the crowd to make sure you guys, if you're asking questions, make sure I'm not missing them. And Timothy, I saw that quote that you posted. That was really awesome, man. Thank you for posting that. Pocket Thought says, I love how B just has breaks, like old-time TV. That might not be on accident. Is that a thing? Do other channels have that? Yes, other channels do it, but they're way better at it. Like, they show you shows. Like, they'll show you clips of their show while they're on break. I just have a spinning, rotating video of my swag store that you can buy things at. Which I kind of did that as a joke. Like, I didn't really expect millions of people were going to be, let me run to the swag store. I did it because I thought it was silly. But, and then, you know, I have the Hannibal burst. Like, comedy is baked into all of the things I do here. If you guys haven't figured out, I am obsessed with comedy. I think it's the best thing on the planet, is being able to laugh. Being able to laugh and not die. If you laugh today and you didn't die, I take it as a win. Pocket says, in an era where everything is on demand, B has breaks. Fucking love it. Yeah, because, like, if you haven't figured out, my brand is counterculture. Like, I'm going to do all the opposite shit that all the people are doing right. I just do it wrong on purpose. Because fuck them. I'm not doing it that way. But I also am not trying to coddle my audience. I actually respect you guys. Right? Like, so much that goes into business is about coddling y'all's pain. And I don't do that. It's like, just let them feel like they're going to be uncomfortable for a second. They'll be fine. Like, Jesus. Like, I think we've become a species of people who worship. Like, our God has become comfort. I'm convinced that humans have been duped into worshiping comfort. You can tie that back to the Greeks. That certainly didn't start with American history. I think it's actually a flaw in our design. Is we overvalue comfort because we come from a world that was much more brutal, and we needed more comfort because we didn't have a lot of it. We were running and getting eaten alive. So we worship comfort because it reminds us of not dying. But now we overvalue comfort. That's why most people are not doing as well as they'd like to. All right. Terry, as a business owner, says, yep, I'm ruthless with these people because they're ruthlessly manipulative. Yeah. Everybody's selling something. Even the thing that I always tell people, like, your motto shouldn't be the customer's always right. Your business motto should be everybody is selling something, even the customer. So let's not act like this is a relationship where you have the leverage in the marriage. Yeah, you have the money, but I have the thing you want. So let's agree to terms. Let's not try to make me into some subservient slave to your emotional whims, which might account for why I sell less things, but why I'm also happier with the things I sell, because I don't usually have to deal with. Terry knows the end of that sentence. I won't finish it. Timothy says, how does one start pulling people to buy things? Backstory. I'm a maker that mainly does leather work, metal work, and have been wanting to get out of the tech world. Okay, so your question is a fine question. It's just not the first one you need to ask. And the answer to your question, there's more questions you need to ask before you get to the question you're at, is my point. But the answer to your question is simple. How does one start pulling people to buy things? Make something they want to buy. Period. It's not more complicated than that. What most people don't realize is they think, oh, that's too simple. No, it is that simple. What you're not realizing is that things in the world, the way the real world works, not the way school and TV and Sunday school conditioned you in this fucking fairy tale land that everybody thinks they live in. You know, the real world is essentially, it's impossible to make something that someone wants to buy. It's hard because humans are emotional and they buy emotions. And our emotions are constantly fluctuating between all kinds of different areas based upon our personalities, our core values, our perspective of the world, and the circumstances that are happening around us. So trying to predict what a customer is going to need, especially in the world that you're talking about where they're buying luxury. People only buy luxury to fulfill an emotional need, either to make happy happier or to make sad to happy. Does your leather work make anybody go from sad to happy? Right? And it can be utilitarian. Maybe what you're making is a tool that somebody uses. But if, like when I go to buy a hammer, all right, people always say, you don't buy a hammer, you buy a hole in the wall. I've never bought a hole in the wall. I buy beautiful pictures on my wall that remind me of places like what you can't see off camera here. There's a giant picture that was taken during the war. Actually, I took this picture, so I'm not in it. And it's a picture of my unit, a part of my unit, and at sunrise. Right? And this picture just reminds me, remember where you came from. Remember the fucking dirt and the blood and the place you came from when you had nothing and people were trying to kill you. And look at where you are today. Look at how God's blessed you, right? I paid for that picture to be a reminder to me to keep going when shit gets tough. Because that picture is a reminder, nothing going on in this world is ever going to be harder than the blood that I dropped on that sand. Period. That's what I pay for. Can your woodwork create that type of emotional experience to make me come buy your hammer or your leather thing? That's the question, right? So where you have to start is not how do I get people to come by? You already know the answer to that. You just don't want to face that the answer is, shit, I suck. I got to get better at making shit that makes people happy. And because all humans suck at that, especially if you are higher intelligence, right? Like when y'all start dancing around 120 and plus IQ, let me help you. Business is going to be harder for you in a lot of ways. Because it's counterintuitive. You're going to wonder, like, wait a minute. I built a thing that does this. Like the whole, if you build a better mousetrap, people will buy it. It's wrong. It's a wrong way to think. Because it's a mousetrap. I don't want to spend an extra $3 on a mousetrap that will drive me to work. And all I'm going to do when I'm finished with this mousetrap is throw it in the trash. And highly intelligent people try to solve way harder problems than most customers are trying to buy solutions to. So they make all this shit and then wonder why nobody's buying their thing, but then somebody's buying some dumbass solution over here that's more expensive and does less. Because the appetite of the consumer is not, you're trying to make filet mignon steaks and what they want is a Big Mac. So what you've got to do is figure out how to get into a place where you can build relationships with people where you can understand everything about what they want and need. Then you build solutions to that, which brings us to what I put on screen. Perfect segue. The aim of marketing is to know and understand the customer so well the product or service fits them and sells itself. That is how you sell your leather shit, all right? You figure out how your leather thing solves a huge emotional problem for people, and you repeatedly solve that problem, and that thing prints money. End of discussion. What's impossible is figuring out how to get your leather to be the emotional solution to their emotional problem. And that takes you being good at crafting things. Well, first of all, it takes you knowing your customer intimately. That's where you need to start, which means you need to define who your customer is. And if it's, 20 to 50-year-old men, that's too broad, right? You got to figure out who your customer is. So you've got a lot of steps to go through before you ever start worrying about turning a sale, right? And then it's, okay, now that we know what their needs are, how do we craft it? Now how do we tell people about it in a way that they can understand and see our product as the solution to their emotional problem? And that's where your expert marketers come in, right? When I'm not being funny or sarcastic or, intentionally, irreverent. Like if I'm actually helping companies and I was on TV representing a company, I would not be this guy. I would be cordial and polite and all that stuff, right? But you got to know who you're selling to so you can know how to talk to those people, right? Like if I were selling to Christians, my language, and I'm not selling anything, but if I were selling a product to Christians, my language would change quite a bit. And I don't mean I wouldn't say F-bombs, I'd still do that. But like I would have more things like the Lord in my language, right? That's a word that Christians really, really love because they love, for whatever reason, 15th century English. Never figured that out, but they do. And so you have to understand who you're making things for and be able to communicate is the answer. And Peter Drucker said it best, the aim of marketing is to know and understand the customer so well the product, service, or service fits them and sells itself. That is the number one thing I see most businesses get wrong. Is you're just like a lot of businesses, they need to be honest with themselves and just say, like, you're making a trinket to get distracted. I don't like to say things about people that make it sound like I'm talking badly about them because I'm not. It's like distracted people who are looking for palliative, quick emotional fixes to simple problems. Like getting a new pair of earrings from Claire's makes me feel good about myself today because I had a bad day. There's nothing wrong with that. Right? The person looking for that type of sale is what I see a lot of businesses get started around. And that's not necessarily dumb because people buy a lot more of that shit than they do, hey, why don't you buy this book where I got all this information from that I'm teaching all y'all so you can just learn it yourself and do it yourself. You don't have to hire an agency. You just it's not hard. Right? And then you can eventually hire an agency when you have things set up and you have revenue streams coming in where you can hand the work off to people and now you can become more efficient, etc., etc. But anyway, most of these companies don't know who their customer is. They overestimate who the customer is, so they think they're selling to way more people than they are. And a lot of companies are just going for sheer volume. Like, can I get somebody while they're in a dopamine loop for half a second on Bryant's feed so he can say, hey, shop at blah, blah, blah today, so they can go shop on a thing. Like, social media is about bringing depressed, distracted people to the platform to make them happy temporarily so they will buy shit. That is the primary business model of these machines. The back end, and that's not how they make most of their money. They make most of their money off of selling data. Right, so they're collecting all of your behaviors over and over and over and over and over again, and I can sell that to Amazon Web Services. I can sell that to Microsoft and all the people who are basically building the world you live in. I can sell that data to them. Why do you think Microsoft wanted the Xbox to be always on and watching everything you're doing? Because they know how you behave, they know your patterns, they can sell you better things. All right, there you go. All right, let's take some more comments. Great question, by the way, Tim. Or Timothy, I'm sorry. I want to call you by the name you prefer. Terry says, counterculture needs a comeback. It never went anywhere. Counterculture is the comedians. They're still here. They got slots on Netflix. It's the comedians. It's the YouTubers who decided, hey, I'm going to do my thing despite what, it's people like, people crap on James Rolfe, but he's still doing his thing. I mean, you may not like his style. You may not like the fact that he's no longer 20 years old and doing it, but I think he's at his best, I think he's doing some great stuff. Like, those people exist. Like, James Rolfe has, 4 million subscribers? And I'm talking about the angry video game nerd. That's a win for anybody ever who was an underdog. Is if that dude, I don't know his revenue or how much he's worth. I know artists usually are making less than what people think they're making. And sometimes they're making way more because they're smart about their business. But it's, like, the angry video game nerd being a thing is a win for everybody. And people say, oh, he sold out, started working with these. Like, dude, for him to continue producing, he's going to need help. Like, at least he's still trying to toe the message of what he was in the beginning. But so counterculture is still killing. It's just you have to go looking for it because the algorithms want you focused on things that keep you scared and keep you buying. And be prepared. This next slide I'm going to show you, especially for you business owners. And if there's people watching this that want to do business with us, don't take my upfront kind of antagonism the wrong way. I'm specifically that way because I'm very protective of this audience that decide to spend their time with me. Because I realized on the battlefield that we only get one shot at this life, and for a lot of us, it ends before you're going to want it to. Right? Or, not that it ends before you want it to, but it ends. It ends before everybody wants it to because we all want it to keep going. And because of that, I will not intentionally or knowingly, I'm sure I do it unintentionally all the time, but intentionally and knowingly, I will not waste people's time. And I will not put a business on this show who doesn't have this customer's best interest at heart. If you're just trying to get your numbers up, I'm not interested in it. And what I'm going to show you on this next slide is the most important thing to working with my brand. And for you influencers who are watching, I am not encouraging you to take this road. You will make less money in the short term. Let me be clear. Like, my brand deals the brand deals I'm into right now, in some cases, come with 6 zeros. And in some cases, more than 6. All right? Like, that's the world that we're building. is brand deals that did I get the zeros right? No, that's the yeah. Maybe more, maybe 7 zeros. And some of the brands that I work with in conversations and negotiations with, those brand deals will tally out to having 6 and 7 zeros at the end of the day. When that happens, you know, how it happens and how it happens over time, that's irrelevant. Yeah, you can make $600 talking about that bullshit product today, or do you want to make thousands or tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions on the back end? Because you like, so if you want to do it my way, you're going to make less short-term money up front. And so like I tell a lot of these young artists, I try to teach them the principle that Master P taught me, which was never do a deal when you're desperate. And all you young cats that are broke, you're desperate. So it's like any brand that'll throw anything at you, it's like, yeah, I'll take that, because you're thinking this is never going to get better. And you're not thinking that. You're not thinking, oh, one day I'm going to continue to do work and be able to garner attention from lots of people where the money's not the issue. They're like, how much do you want us to pay you? We just want to do this deal with you. Right? Like, I have sat in brand deals with investors where it's like, hey, what's your number? And then one time I gave a number, and they said, well, that number's too small. What? What'd you say? Like, I gave them my number, and they said it was too small. That's what playing the game this way will get you. Okay? But it's going to come more slowly. So if you need to be famous tomorrow, and you need to be a millionaire tomorrow instead of a billionaire in 30 years, by all means, sell bullshit products, piss your audience off, and annoy them with shit they're never going to want to buy, except for the 14 of them that were depressed that day and they actually bought one. Right? I'm not saying my way is right. I'm just saying it's a way. And it's right for me. But just know that doing it this way, what I'm about to show you, it's going to come at a cost to you, which in the short term is going to take money out of your pocket. A lot of the stuff I'm showing you is me taking money and food out of my kids' mouths. So you have to ask yourself, is that something you're willing to do to give away short-term success to get to a place where, like I'm at now, where I can have these brand deal discussions with companies that want me to be partnered in their company? You decide. All right, let's take some more comments and then we'll get to this next slide that I've been teasing this whole time. Terry. Oh, God. I swear, Terry. I didn't know my biological father until way later in life. I'm starting to wonder. I think some of his blood might have gotten Terry's family. Yeah, we think alike so much sometimes, man. Let's see. Tyler says, trying to be more consistent and maybe start doing comic strips. The videos I do also tend to have music, and those keep getting shut down by TikTok. So wait, you're getting... So use TikTok's music on your videos. Why are you piping in your own music? If so, just use the TikTok built-in library, dude. Make life easy on yourself. Jolly says, Microsoft couldn't sell it to me because my patterns were nothing but adult content. Oh, that's funny. They couldn't sell that to you because it was just... He was Xbox and porn. I think that's what you meant by that. Can Xbox porn? Is porn, like, you know what? I don't even want to say it on the show because I don't want to run, kids. Like, is that on Xbox now? I'm an old man that gave all... I'm out of the game, dude. I'm too old to care about anything anymore. I didn't know Xbox was doing it like that now. I just love the fact that you light it on fire, Terry. That that just warms my heart. Oh, God. That's awesome. Cap says, I love the realness in your walk. That's why I mess with your channel. Pure authentic. Well, I'm sure I'm full of shit at some point, too. But I at least try to be authentic when I'm aware of it. How about that? Is that good enough? At least I'm trying. I'm not a complete, hopefully, piece of crap. Terry says, by the way, B, I caved in and just ordered a new microphone. Yeah, I knew you would. It's I can't pronounce that, K683 Alpha. Hopefully now I won't get people complaining about the audio. Well, I guess you said you didn't own a smartphone. I was trying to figure out some, like, your issue is that you're recording it obviously in a very noisy, white noise, not noisy, but in a white noise heavy room. Like there's clearly fans running and you don't sound clear is my issue. It's not, I don't need you to sound like Beyonce. I just need you to cut down the white noise and make it, like there are parts of your videos where I can't understand what you're saying, not because you have an accent, but because it's just not clear. So that's more, I don't need you to be, you know, Luther Vandross. Just make it so that your audio, because remember, in video production, guys, if nobody ever taught you guys this, if you're getting into video production, audio is more important than the video. Always. Your video can be somewhat lesser quality, but if that audio is effed up, you are through. Audio matters more than what people are seeing. Now, what they're seeing is very important, but if what they're, unless they're watching something that doesn't, where sound is not part of the game, but if sound is essential to what you're producing, work 80% on making your sound better and 20% on getting the video cleaned up. And then maybe I'm biased because I come from the world of music, but I also study a ton of psychology and what makes people pay attention to things. And somebody will run from your video much faster if the audio is hurting them more so than the visual being a little messed up. So that's all. I'm glad you got a new mic, man. Way to go. And just the other thing too is like the microphone you're using may be okay. You just need to learn how to mix too. Like cut the sound out. You know, clean up. Like if you just had what's it called? Audacity is free. You can do a ton of editing and mixing just in a free app like Audacity. You don't even have to spend money. But I'm glad you found a way, man. Keep killing. All right, let's get to this next slide, and then we can get this conversation over with. I can get you guys back on about your day. Blam and blam. Okay, so Peter Drucker in his book, The Essential Drucker, wrote that there's essentially 8 strategic objectives, goals, strategies, whatever moniker you want to put on it. But every business should be able to explain what they're up to in measurable goals / objectives in these categories. Like, what is your marketing objective for this year? What's your innovation objective for this year? Right? What's your productivity objective? Right? So I can tell you back in 2018, when I was mapping out the plan for my podcast turning into a brand, right? When I was like, okay, let's take this up a notch. It was okay productivity wise. I wrote down in my strategic plan for that era, that year, it was, we want to reach this many numbers of military service members and veterans and provide them access to information and things that help them get along in their either continuing military life or civilian life, and then helping them with transition. And I think the number was somewhere around, you know, I wanted to help 100,000 people that year. I wanted to, you know, have content or something that helped 100,000 people. And then one piece of content got me 20,000 of those people, like that, right? But that's what I mean. These objectives should be there. Physical resources. What do you need in terms of like money, space? Like one of the Spartans, one of the business owners whom I help and I advise, you know, one of the things we're working on is getting him access to land to build more things, to do more business. Right, because he doesn't have the problem of customers. Like, he's past the point of marketing issues for customers. Now he's at the point of, I need growth, which means now I need more LLC or more land, labor, and capital in order to grow. So he's at that point where he needs an influx of physical resources, which is why I tell a lot of you startup folks, your problem you think in the beginning is money. It's like, no, your problem is creativity. Because there's things you can do to leverage without money to get started, and then money comes in, and then you can repurpose it. Right, but you will get to a point where when you start thinking about scaling, it's like, okay, we're going to need resources to make this work. Do we borrow? Do we pull from sales? Like, how do we actually structure this, and how fast do we want to go? Right? What are your profit goals? Right? Profit is a goal, by the way. It's an objective, not the purpose of the business. Everybody tells you the purpose of the business is to make a profit. No, it's not. It's never that. Profit is a byproduct of doing good business, and good business is taking care of a customer. It's satisfying a customer. I think that was on the previous slide, wasn't it? Let me run that back. Or was it on another slide that I reached today? Yeah, sorry. It was on another slide that I read today. All right, profit. So you are going to need to think about how do we make profit. Why? Because we have inflation. Things are going to go up in cost. We need the business to be able to survive that reality. Okay, so we need to make more money than we spend. Got it. Management. What are our objectives this year for how we manage our objectives and our people? Right? What's our human resources objectives? And I would say not just how many more people you need to throw at the machine so a billionaire can buy your company in 2 years. I mean also, what are you doing to take care of your people, to train them? Most companies do not invest in training and educating their people, and I think it's the stupidest thing in the world. I never, like all my things that I've built to teach people over the years, anybody that works with me gets that. Like, here, take everything I've ever taught ever and apply it to your life and let it help you, and apply it to our business. Like, always invest in your people, because it'll always come back to you. And businesses learn that if we don't invest in people and we make a bullshit product that can just print money, we don't have to invest in people. I think it's a bad idea. But if your strategy is we're going to run this business for 30 years and let it die, well, maybe that strategy is actually viable. I just think as humans, we should expect each other to do better than that. I don't know. Maybe I'm naive. Number 8, and this is the main mistake I'm seeing everybody make. Public responsibility. When GameStop reached out to me and says we want to do a deal with you, and then I saw what the deal was for, under normal circumstances, I would probably say no to just a flat out, if GameStop came to me and says, we just want you to promote GameStop. Depending on the scope of what that deal would entail, it's likely that I would say no. Not because they're a stigmatized business. I've been very positive about GameStop in my talks, because I don't look at them just as a corporation that people feel like does shady business. I'm on the entrepreneurial side of this. So it's like, I am a buyer beware guy. You know how much money I've made off, do you guys understand how much money I've made off of GameStop? Like, this collection shit that you think is, dopamine. Like, dude, I make money buying video games. I make money on this. You know how much money GameStop has made me? Because every year they'll have some crazy sale where it's like, hey, trade in your old shoes and we'll give you 9 games for free. Dude, there's so many ways to play GameStop's game that you end up making money. So it's like, I always wonder, what are people complaining about with GameStop's deals? Like, I've always made profit off of my GameStop interactions. Also, I've always had personal GameStop stores where the people that work at them are fantastic human beings who know video games and have always looked out for me. Show don't tell, right? Let me show y'all something. Show y'all this, and let me see if this other thing's in the shot of my camera. Let me go get it. I'll be right back. Stand by. This will take 30 seconds. This isn't a real break. All right, we managed to do that without knocking my entire shelf over, if you didn't hear me saying that. All right, so let's do a little show and tell, right? Okay, we'll come back to Peter Drucker in a second. Why do you care about Call of Duty Modern Warfare and Fable 2? Okay, so every year when GameStop used to make their employees work on Thanksgiving, which I thought was the stupidest shit in the world, I get the Black Friday sale. I get coming in at night to get people trying to get a sale. But making people work through the day on Thanksgiving is just dumb. So what I started doing with the local GameStop in my area, I'm friends with a lot of guys that worked there at the time, and still am friends with the guys that still work there. And I started taking meals, because I go to Thanksgiving at my mom's house. My GameStop is on the way. So on the way back from my mom's house from Thanksgiving, this would have been 2 or 3 years ago. Three, because it was before the pandemic. We took plates to the guy, the manager, and everybody there, all my friends. That Christmas, I went to the manager, was like, yo, I'm trying to get this Call of Duty Modern Warfare for my son with the night vision goggles. This is going to be his Christmas gift, right? Trying to hook him up. Do you have one? He said no, but let me look around. I'll get back to you. He calls me up. Actually, I think he sent me a text is the way it went. And he says, hey, just a heads up, I'm on my way to the GameStop in, won't name the town. Just to keep everybody's privacy straight. I'm going to this GameStop to pick up your son's game. He's like, just so you know, not to say anything. He's like, I'm not supposed to do this for customers, but come on. I'm going to pick it up. He's like, if you want to meet me at the store whenever, I'll have it there for your son. He got in his car and drove that day to the location where they had the game, which wasn't particularly close. I mean, he didn't have to drive across country to get it, for Christ's sake. But he had to leave his place of business and in fact, I think he took his personal time to do it. And he went and got this game for my son so that I could buy it. Didn't have it shipped because Christmas was coming. Didn't we can get it to you after. He's like, dude, he's like, instead of making you the customer drive to the place, I'll do it and I'll have it here waiting for you the next time you come back. So that happened. When I went to pick it up, he hands me this. Now, why did my buddy, and my buddy's been on this show before, so I guess he's not completely private. He's been here. He hands me this when I go to pick it up. And I said, what's this? I said, well, I know what it is. I said, dude, this is the collector's edition of Fable 2. Where did you get this? He said, don't worry about it. I said, all right, I know how this works. Ring this up. Ring it up with my Call of Duty. Right? Ring it up with Call of Duty. Do that for me. He's like, no. I was like, come on, man. He's like, no. He said, this one's on the house. I know you're a collector, and I know Fable 2 is one of your favorite games from the Xbox 360 because it's one of the games that made you come back to playing video games after you spent so many years hating the hobby because creators started making games for journalists and editors instead of for players. He's like, and I know you loved it, and I know you love to collect. Merry Christmas. And he handed it to me. Free. That is why you don't hear me shit on GameStop. Because whatever your personal experience is, those are and I can name tons of other experiences, trading in all my DVDs when I technically wasn't supposed to be allowed to, but they still let me do it and make the $700 or whatever I made that I didn't pay for a game for another 8 years at GameStop. You could take advantage of all those things, and they let you. So like if they just were like, hey, do a brand deal for us and talk about GameStop, I wouldn't do it because I don't want to just do commercials to tell people to shop at GameStop, even though I just kind of did one. But what I would do, the reason why I was going to take this deal is because they wanted to promote Elden Ring. Now, if you guys know anything about my story as a player, as a video game guy, you know for a fact that me and From Software, let me see if I can, yep, let's do it. Let's keep showing and not telling, right? Me and From Software. And this is all me narcissistically. This really has nothing to do with From Software, what I'm about to share with you. These guys right here. There's a love-hate relationship that I have with them. It is not mutual. They don't give a shit that I exist, nor should they. Okay? I want to love every one of these games they make, but they make them in a way that makes me hate them. But I see the spirit behind what they're making for their customer and with their customer in mind, and giving the player a unique, succinct, focused experience that tickles all of the things they love. And I get why people love these games, and I understand why I hate them. You know why I hate these games? It's because I hate losing. And in order to get really good at this, you have to lose a lot. That reminds me too much of the real world. So I never want, I play video games to escape the reality I live in every single day, which is being told no and being rejected. I don't need it in my games. But I love the spirit of the games. I love the worlds. I love the limited storytelling that they force the player to craft the story themselves, like we're watching the end of Total Recall. I love that. And this is an independent company that has fought their way through the ranks to get to where we are. And they make their games unapologetically for who their customer is. And there are not a lot of companies that do that. I respect From Software to no end, at least what I know about them. Now, maybe their CEO is, hunting antelope, and maybe he's terrible, but at least the people who work on the ground floor making these games, I think, are some amazing human beings. Even though they regularly make games that piss me off and that I don't want to play, I still want to see this company prosper. So when I heard about Elden Ring, and I heard that they were making the game and they were making some concessions to the things I don't like about their games, I got excited. I was like, wait. They may have just fixed the thing I don't like about playing their games. They may have given me an in. I can't wait to play it. And then GameStop hits me up and says, yo, we can't wait for you to talk about it. I was going to take that deal, not just because it would help GameStop, and not because it would help GameStop, but because it would help these guys. And I think these guys, I want to see a company like this. I don't want to see what had to happen to Hideo Kojima happen to them. You know, a guy who comes into a company and basically makes their company. He Tom Brady's the company. And then they cut him. Just like the Patriots cut Tom Brady. And then he had to go make his own company. And then what does he do when he makes his own company? He makes his games better than the company he built. Or the company he helped build. His game's even better than the stuff he made there. I want Kojima. I hope Kojima has 11 kids. I hope he trained all of them in storytelling. I want his brand to live forever.